When you finally begin to live from the words, "it is finished," something subtle yet radical starts to happen. You stop asking, not because you've lost faith, but because you've found what faith was always pointing toward. Most people live inside a question mark. Will I be healed? Will God provide? Will I ever find peace? But the consciousness of "it is finished" lives inside a full stop. There is no need to ask what already is. There is only quiet recognition. God's work is complete. Goldsmith taught that prayer is not a request, it's a realization. The moment you begin to ask, you've already left the place where answers live. You've stepped into time believing the good you seek is somewhere ahead of you, but the kingdom isn't coming tomorrow. It's here, vibrating beneath every thought, every heartbeat, every cell. When you pray from lack, your very words confirm separation. When you rest in silence, you acknowledge unity. That silence is not empty. It's full of awareness. It's the language God actually understands. Imagine sitting by a still lake at dawn. You don't talk to the water. You watch until it reflects everything perfectly. That's true prayer. It's the state of allowing awareness to reveal what was always true. Goldsmith often said, "When the mind grows silent, the presence announces itself. You don't call it, you recognize it. And in that recognition, problems lose their reality. The human mind survives on noise. It prays to hear itself talk. It wants reassurance that something out there is listening. But the presence you seek isn't out there. It is the awareness doing the seeking. The same life-breathing you is the answer to every prayer you've ever made. When Jesus said, "Your Father knows what you need before you ask," he wasn't exaggerating. He was describing this exact consciousness. Every time you ask, you're reconfirming ignorance. Every time you rest, you're confirming knowledge. At first, this silence feels uncomfortable. The mind panics without its usual noise. You'll catch yourself reaching for affirmations, repeating mantras, checking for results. That's fine. But eventually, the words dissolve into awareness. Prayer becomes listening without listener, and listening becomes being. In that stillness, healing often happens naturally, not because you asked, but because resistance stopped. Supply flows, not because you demanded it, but because you stopped blocking it. Love returns, not because you chased it, but because you realized it never left. Think of life as a completed symphony. You're not composing it. You're awakening inside its melody. When you stop begging the notes to appear, you start hearing the harmony that was already playing. The infinite way calls this spiritual awareness unfolding. Goldsmith would spend hours in meditation without asking for anything. He simply rested in gratitude that God already is. And from that quiet recognition, needs were met, doors opened, lives changed. It wasn't magic, it was mathematics. The mathematics of consciousness aligning with its source. Let's practice this now. Close your eyes. Don't ask for healing. Don't ask for guidance. Don't even ask for peace. Simply know the presence that is breathing me is whole, complete, and perfect. Stay there. No questions, no bargains, just stillness. That is the highest prayer. Not words going up, but awareness sinking in. It dissolves fear faster than any technique because fear cannot live in finished reality. When a problem appears, the human mind starts calculating. But recognition has no calculator. It says, "It is finished," and waits with trust instead of tension. That pause allows the infinite to translate into form. Maybe as a new idea, maybe as a phone call, maybe as sudden peace in the middle of chaos. Whatever form it takes, it comes without strain. Goldsmith wrote, "The moment you rest in God's completeness, all unfinished business is taken up by the invisible." This is what he meant by living in the rhythm of grace. A man once came to Joel saying, "I've prayed for years and nothing changes." Joel smiled and said, "Perhaps you've been praying to a God who doesn't exist, a God who needs convincing." Then he guided the man into silence. Minutes passed. The man began to weep, not from sadness, but relief. For the first time, he wasn't performing prayer. He was prayer. And that night, his insomnia of 20 years ended. The outer story is small, the inner shift is infinite. The noise ended so recognition could speak. When you understand it is finished, life stops being a battlefield and becomes a temple. Work becomes worship. Relationships become reflections. Challenges become classrooms. You stop rushing to get somewhere because you finally see you are already standing on sacred ground. Even mistakes lose their sting. They become reminders to return to awareness. Each fear, each delay, each obstacle is a call to remember. Nothing is missing in the kingdom. We live in the loudest generation in history. Constant alerts, constant comparison, constant wanting. But the timeless truths never shout. They whisper beneath the noise. To hear them, you don't need to leave the world. You just need to pause inside it. That pause, that one conscious breath of recognition, is enough to align the whole day. Try it the next time you scroll through chaos or sit in traffic. Whisper inwardly, "It is finished." You'll feel the atmosphere shift, even before circumstances do. Eventually, silence stops being a practice and becomes your native language. You start walking through days in quiet dialogue with the infinite. No longer begging, no longer convincing, just listening, just being. That's what it means when we say the end of asking. It's not withdrawal from life, it's participation in life as it is. Your existence itself becomes prayer. Your every breath a hymn of completion. Most people want miracles. Goldsmith wanted realization, because realization is the miracle. It rewrites how you perceive everything, from morning coffee to terminal diagnosis. When you realize you're living in finished perfection, gratitude stops depending on outcomes. Peace becomes the baseline, not the goal. Right now, as you listen, breathe once and let the words fall away. Notice the awareness that remains. That awareness is the same presence that said, "It is finished." It hasn't aged, it hasn't faded. It's here, in you, as you. This is the end of asking. This is where prayer becomes realization. This is where silence becomes the loudest amen. If this message stirred something deep within, that's your soul remembering its native sound, the sound of completion. Comment below. I live in the finished kingdom. Like this video if it brought peace to your heart. Subscribe to Legacy Igniter for the next chapter of It Is Finished, the Joel Goldsmith Revelation Series, Part 3, The Unseen Law of Grace. Because the journey isn't about reaching God, it's about realizing you never left.